be a sesquicentennial project. And also, we realized that as we have traveled this route, now we've come over 4,000 miles and we're going to be going down to Cape Horn, we're telling people about Michigan, we're telling people about the 150 birthday. And we've stopped at trapper cabins where there's been no phone, no newspaper, no communication. They didn't know about Michigan's birthday, and we've been able to tell them, you know, one-on-one. And that's been very satisfying.
I think so. You were talking about the tremendous weather that you've encountered and you will be encountering. You must have a lot of faith in your equipment, especially your canoes. Are the canoes specially built for this type of travel? Are they a special canoe?
I design and build canoes. That's one of my hobbies also. I'm in just about anything in the canoe world. This particular canoe, the Sea Wind, is a one-person canoe, 17 feet long, 28 inches wide. And it's number 49 of many experimental designs that I have built on for the last 20 years. And it was built especially for big water, turbulent water, to handle what we got. And so we do have a lot of confidence in this craft. We have been in it. Neither one of us has upset yet, you know, and it handles this big stuff. And it's good to know that, because if you're playing a long day, and sooner or later you may relax, and if your canoe needs tension, why, you may be in trouble. But if your canoe can take care of itself, you can relax. It means a lot.
How much equipment are you carrying on your canoes?
About 250 pounds. Verlen's got about 40 pounds more than I do. But, you know, when we go out, it's not this great faith that we have in the boats. It's a real respect for the conditions. We are really working with those conditions, what we find in the morning. We don't make our plans. We get up and look at the weather, and we let the weather make our plans as to what we're going to do each day.
You must become meteorologists of sorts then as time goes along. You're getting to know all sorts of weather. How much wind can you go out in and really accomplish anything? I imagine with the strength that the two of you have built up, you can take on quite a bit of harsh weather.
Well, it depends on the direction of the wind and also what type of waterway that we're on. When we were on the Keweenaw waterway, we were protected, so there wasn't a large area for the wind to build up, and we were paddling and it was raining, we had a headwind, and yet we were making good progress. But on the lake with, say, 15 knots of wind, and if it's blowing your way and crashing onto shore, then that gets more difficult.
If you're on small waters, for instance, in a protected bay or on a river, you can push against 40 or 50 mile an hour winds, and 50 mile an hour probably brings you almost to a standstill at sprint speed. But it's not worthwhile being out there. You know, you get off when it gets that strong. Anything maybe over even 20 miles an hour headwind, particularly, it's counterproductive.
You may run into some ice on the Whitefish or some of the rivers as you go further south. What are you going to do about that?
Well, we heard that it is starting to freeze up at All-Train Lake and the basin up above. And if it does freeze up too much, we may be able to pull across it with a pole with like a nail on the end of it, and you just use it about like you would a paddle. And if it's clear ice, it's as easy as paddling. Directionally, you got to watch it. It goes all over the lake, but if you're careful how you push, it's kind of fun for a while.
Have you given any thought at all to just kind of forgetting about this leg of Superior right now, finish the trip and come back another time and fill in that little gap when things are a little more hospitable around here?
We've been advised to do that. We are going to wait and see what tomorrow brings. We're going to see what the weather is like and take it from there. We'll have to think about that.
We don't want to have any break in the continuity, although there are no rules that we have to follow. I mean, we are an expedition rather than just a trip. You know, one of the big things about why, you know, is that the water quality test, for instance, documenting the lands and the people. We're working with Michigan State University. They have given us a lot of water quality test equipment. We're working with General Motors environmental labs, one of the biggest private research labs in the world. And we're delighted to work with these people. They particularly want collection of acid rain. And this is something near to our heart, and Valerie has taken this on as her one of her big joys, I guess. I think she's got part scientist at heart. And we collect continually acid rain day or night, and if it's after midnight, she said, somebody should go out there and put up that collector. Guess who?
Well, now, of course, you're doing all the scientific testing, but you're also probably keeping prolific journals and diaries, and we got a tape of you saying that you decided to lighten your load, and even your mirror had gone, and little memories cherished like that must mean a lot to you as you get towards certain points that you can look back and remember those things that may otherwise have been forgotten.
Well, the journals are a very important part for me because I feel as much a writer as I do an explorer. And Verlen said you cannot go on this trip just for the purpose of writing another book. But for me, that's one of the real purposes why I'm out here. I don't think you have to risk your life to write a book, but the stories, the people that we're meeting, it's just amazing as the hemisphere unfolds for us. And it's very important for me to record every night, no matter how tired I am, to take out the flashlight and to write down the notes of what happened that day.
Mm-hmm. Keep track.
You talked about the bush of Canada. Did you encounter any wildlife along the Mackenzie?
We had a bear that collapsed the tent while we were in it. And then we had a paddling upstream on the clear water. When you paddle upstream, you go very close to the bank to stay out of the current. And we were being quiet. It was early in the morning, and we startled a moose on the bank, and the moose jumped over the bow of my canoe, landed, and didn't leave. So instead of grabbing my camera, I paddled to deep water as fast as I could to get out of the way.
It had a baby calf on shore, and that's why it was a little bit aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Well, and I imagine that that's just the beginning of some of the experiences that you're going to have of that nature. Are you anticipating more of that as you get into South America and the Caribbean?
Well, we're not looking for it, but I'm sure it's going to be there for us.
Yeah.
There'll be them kind of surprises. Although South America has a very noticeable lack of big game animal type, but they have lots of snakes.
Little game animals that find their way into my pack or sleeping bag.
A lot of creepies and crawlies, a lot of bugs. It's just an immense variety from what we hear about.
Valerie, you mentioned before that you've been communicating with your brother. Will you be able to communicate with anybody once you leave the continent, United States, continental United States? Are you going to be able to get word back to people how you're progressing?
Well, our communication will be limited and very different than it is here, where there's a telephone on about every block. But South America is opening up for us. As we have committed to going and we're writing letters, we hear, like we just found out Mission Aviation does some dropping of supplies to missionaries, and we got a letter here at our mail pickup in Marquette with the okay that they will put us on their list and they'll be helping us out down there. And we're hoping that if anyone does have a friend or a contact in South America, that maybe we can find out about that and get kind of a grapevine going of, it's amazing how much help we've received from just unusual circumstances that fall together.
What about the off days? When you can't get out on the lake and the canoe needs a coat of wax or whatever the case may be, how do you deal with that? I imagine you're so bent on going out there and paddling, it must be difficult. Or do you like those days off?
Well, in the beginning, it was nice. Until we get in the time bind here, in danger of being frozen up ahead, 600 miles from here, or 500, 400, whatever it is. We would always have a lot of chores to be done. There were some minor repairs and maybe a newsletter to write and things like this. And Valerie is a very prolific writer, and on a good windy day, she'll put out 50 or 70 letters.
I look forward to the off days. In fact, I hope for them. Like on Lake Winnipeg, we got just beautiful weather. There was a moon, and we were paddling from 4 until 11 at night and working with those good conditions, so I was just hoping the wind would blow so we could stop for a day or two. But we're just hoping here on Lake Superior that the wind stops so we can paddle and make some time.
How are you holding up, Valerie? Is it getting tiresome for you?
Yes, I'm very tired, and I'm very tired every night. But I know where I'm going. I know where we're going.